So you're playing Genshin, you do a 10 pull, and while you don't get a 5-star, you do get 4-star Diona. Now, what do you, I'm gonna go and swap paints right here real quick. Okay, make this a little bit easier. Now, what do you get with Diona? Besides a bartender who hates alcohol, well, Diona is a bow-wielding cryo user who can kind of slot into any team that needs a cryo character or another cryo character. And in this video, we're gonna look at the basics of Diona. Oh, and I guess TikTok is also back, so you couldn't get rid of me that easily. Now, Diona's basic attacks are going to be basic, right? They're going to do physical damage normally, and then whenever you do the charge attack, the fully charge attack, you're going to get cryo infusion to where she can do cryo damage to the enemies. Now, her skill is going to have a tap and a hold. If you just tap it, it is going to put out, I believe it is 2 of the icy paws hitting enemies, giving you a shield, and the shield is not particularly strong. It's not going to particularly last long, but that's what the hold is for. Now, if we hold it, it is going to shoot out 5 of the icy paws, auto-targeting enemies, doing cryo damage as well, giving you a shield. Now, why is the hold better than the press? Because the strength of this shield is directly tied to how many icy paws hits enemies. So if you do the tap, you're only going to hit enemies with 2 icy paws. If you do the hold, you're going to hit them with 5, meaning that your shield is going to be stronger and last longer, but your skill cooldown does take longer. Now, you might have noticed that the skill cooldown actually reset itself. That is because of her weapon. That is not something that is inherently in Diona's kit. Now, her burst, she is going to throw out this cocktail bottle, is going to hit the enemy, dealing cryo damage as well as cryo damage over time, and it will heal the character inside of it. Only your on-field character inside of it, not your whole party. But this can do a fair good amount of cryo application for somebody to melt or freeze with. Now, both her shield and her healing are directly tied to her HP, so whenever we get to artifacts and stuff like that, we're going to look at building her for HP. Now, while her shield isn't as good as somebody like Layla's, because in Layla we trust, and she can't exactly shred stuff like Sit Lolly, she can shield and heal, and there's not a ton of characters that do both. Without constellations, of course, because you have like C6 Zhongli. So is she the best shielder? No. Is she the best healer? No. But because she can do both, she can kind of slot into any team where you need a cryo character, whether it just be for cryo resonance or just to have a little bit of a shield or a little bit of a healing, right? Like if you don't really have Layla or Sit Lolly, but you're trying to get a shielder for Arlecchino that can be decent, Diona can fill that slot. If you're trying to use like a Risley freeze team with like Farina and you need like a shielder or a healer, then Diona can fit in here if you don't have like Charlotte. So she can fill a lot of different roles, right? It's not just this kind of one-trick pony where she can actually do both. Now, whenever it comes to artifacts for this video, I do have her built fully on HP with 2-piece tenacity, 2-piece VG. This is not her best build. These artifacts are simply on her to allow for her shielding and her healing to be super high. Now, her actual best set is going to be Noblesse, because whenever you do your burst, it's going to increase your party's attack by 20%, which is very, very good. And with these artifacts, you're probably just going to be running HP on all of the main stats just to get her healing and her shield still pretty strong. Now, you can't really use 4-piece tenacity on her like you would with Layla because her skill only does damage the instance you use it. It's not like Layla where it's going to do multiple instances of damage. Now, Diona doesn't necessarily like need a set artifact set, right? Like if you don't have Noblesse, and you can just do like 2-piece tenacity or 2-piece VG, and then like 2-piece emblem to get her energy recharge up so that you can use her burst more often. You can do the 2-piece. You could do like 2-piece tenacity, 2-piece maiden beloved to get a healing bonus. You know, you could do a bunch of different stuff with her, right? It's all in her utility, not necessarily in her damage. You don't have to have a designated artifact set for her. There's a lot of different combinations that she can use. Now, for weapons, I believe that her best weapon, aside from like LG, is going to be Sacrificial Bow. You can also use Favonius Bow for more ER because we want to be able to have her burst readily available because it's her most cryo application and healing. But Sac Bow is going to be very, very good because it does give the elemental skill cooldown reset, which is what happened at the beginning whenever I used her shield and then automatically reset. Now with this bow, you can actually have her shield up for a decently long time without having to actually go into cooldown on the skill. I believe that I was able to use her skill 3 times before I actually had to deal with cooldown, which is good for giving her energy to then use her burst, but it's also good to just have her shield up more often, right? So Sac Bow is going to be really, really good. If you don't have Sac Bow, you do of course have Favonius Bow, so that way you can have ER to get her burst up more often as well. And then especially with both of these bows, you can do the full HP build like we were looking at earlier. If you don't have either of these bows, or if like Favonius is on Farazan or somebody like that, then you can use 3-star recurve. It is like an HP stack stick for her, where that's really all that you're going to get out of it, but then you can swap to an ER Sands to just help with that energy recharge. And like I was saying at the beginning, Diona can kind of slot into any kind of team where you just really need like a cryo character, either for the cryo resonance or for like a shield or for a healer, right? She can kind of fill any of these roles, making her kind of like a jack of all trades, but then also making it to where she can be a buffer with like Noblesse, right? So this can be So she can fit into a lot of different teams. Now that is going to be it for this video. Cookie has green hair, I have blue hair that might actually be getting re-dyed today, and I will see you in the next one.